The room was silent, except for the low hum of the lights above. Cold white walls surrounded the space like a box. No windows, just one door. And two beings. On one side, a human sat tied to a steel chair. His uniform was torn, his face bruised, but his eyes still burned with confidence. His name was Reed Carter, a soldier from Earth. Captured, tortured, but not broken. Across from him stood a tall alien warrior, Commander Vyra of the Xenari Empire. Her skin was dark silver, her armor sharp and deadly. Her long fingers held a plasma gun pointed directly at Reed's head. "Finger on the trigger," she said coldly. "Any last words, human?" Reed slowly lifted his head. Blood ran down from his forehead, but he smiled. Not a weak smile, one of those smirks that hides a secret. "Yeah," he said. "Safety's on." Click. Vera's eyes narrowed. She looked down at the gun. Her finger was on the trigger, but nothing happened. She pulled again. Still nothing. Before she could react, a loud boom echoed outside the room. The floor shook. Lights flickered. Alarms began to scream in red. "What did you do?" She growled, but Reed was already laughing low and slow. "Told you," he said. "I'm not the one in trouble." 48 hours earlier, the Earth battleship Argon 7 floated above a dead planet. Inside, soldiers prepared for a mission. Tension ran through the air like static. Reed stood at the center of the strategy room, looking at a 3D map. Alien signals blinked across the screen. The target, a hidden Xenari base. "We go in quiet," the captain said. "We get the data and—" "Get out," Reed nodded, but his mind was elsewhere. He had his own plan. That night, while others slept, he recorded a private message. "If you're watching this," he said into the camera, "then the plan worked. I got captured on purpose. Why? Because there's something they're hiding, something big. And I'm gonna find it." Back to the present, Vera dragged Reed down a hallway. Soldiers passed them, running in panic. Explosions rocked the base. "You're not clever," she hissed. "Just lucky." Reed pretended to stumble, but he was watching everything. He counted. Guards, cameras, doors. Every detail mattered. They reached the command center. The walls were covered with alien symbols. Vera threw him onto the floor. "Stay here. If you move, you die." She turned to speak with her officers. Reed waited. 1 minute. 2. Then, quietly, he twisted his wrist. From under his skin, a small chip popped out. It blinked green. "A hidden transmitter. Phoenix," he whispered. "I'm inside." Back on Earth, a signal lit up. Mission was live. Inside the alien mind commander, Vera stared at the screen. Earth forces were approaching. Fast. She didn't understand. How did they find this place? No one knew the coordinates. She looked back at Reed. He sat calmly on the floor, like he belonged there. "Why are you not afraid?" she asked. Reed looked up. "Because I know how this ends." Vera stepped closer. "You think humans will win this war?" Reed shrugged. "I think we already have. You just haven't realized it yet." She raised her weapon again. "Say that again when you're dead." But her hand was shaking now. "Not fear, something else." Doubt. The twist begins suddenly. The screen flashed red. Unauthorized access file #Omega to 13. Open it. Vera turned quickly. "Who opened that file?" Her officers scrambled. "We don't know." "Someone from inside," Reed smiled. "You're finally looking in the right place." Vyra ran to the screen. It showed old footage. A Xenari ship. Attacking Earth ships. First, not defense. Attack. Her hands dropped to her sides. This isn't possible. You thought humans started the war," Reed said. "But history lies. Especially when your leaders write it." Cliffhanger ending outside. The explosions grew louder. The human rescue team was near. Reed stood up. His hands were still tied, but he didn't look helpless. Vera stared at him, lost in thought. "You're not just a soldier," she said. "You're a weapon." Reed walked toward her. "No, I'm a message." A wall behind them blew open with a crash. Smoke and light poured in. Silhouettes of human soldiers appeared. Target acquired. Someone shouted "Dot" as they ran toward Reed. He looked at Vera one last time. "This isn't the end," he said. "It's just the beginning." The stars outside the window were cold and silent. Commander Vera stood still in her private chamber, staring into the blackness of space. Her face was calm, but inside, her thoughts screamed. She had fought in 27 battles. She had crushed rebellions, executed spies, and never hesitated to kill. But now, one human, just one, had broken something inside her. Reed Carter. The name echoed like a weapon. A prisoner, a fool, a liar. But somehow, he had opened a door inside her mind, and she couldn't close it anymore. Doubt is a dangerous thing. Vera's second-in-command entered the room. His name was Kelron, young, eager, loyal. "The human is speaking lies," he said. "He wants to confuse you." Vera didn't answer. "He says we started the war," Kelron continued. "That we attacked Earth first. Ridiculous, the Empire would never." "Silence," Vera said, turning toward him. Her voice was sharp. "Do you know that for certain?" Kelron blinked. "It's what we've been told." Vera narrowed her eyes. "Told by who?" He hesitated. "Exactly. The recording later that night. Alone again." Vera opened the secret file Omega 13, the one the human had somehow unlocked. The room dimmed as a hologram flickered to life. An old recording played, a Xenari battleship flying through unclaimed space. Voices shouted, orders were given. Then the screen shook violently. "Fire on the human vessel. Destroy them before they signal Earth." A single line, one order. And with it, the truth cracked through everything she believed. The Xenari fired first. Vera watched the screen go dark. Her hands trembled. Reed's words returned. "You think we started the war?" Reed had said, smiling even as blood ran down his face. "But history lies, especially when your leaders write it." She had laughed at him then, called him weak, foolish, but now the only fool was her. Meanwhile, inside the cell in the lower level of the base, Reed lay on the cold floor of his cell. His hands were no longer tied, but he didn't try to escape. He was waiting. He hummed a tune quietly. Something old. Something from Earth. A guard passed his cell and scowled. "Why do you sing, human?" Reed smiled without opening his eyes. "Because I know the end of the song." Vera's conflict. Vera walked into the command chamber the next morning. Her officers stood tall. Charts and graphs showed Earthships moving closer. War was coming. "We will strike before they arrive," Kelron said proudly. "We'll destroy them." Vera didn't answer. "Commander?" he asked. She stared at the screen. Reed's voice echoed again in her mind. "You're not just losing the war, you're losing your truth." She turned slowly. "No attack," she said. Eluron's eyes widened. "What? We stand down. We hold our fire." "Commander, that is treason." "Is it treason?" she asked coldly. "To stop a lie from becoming a genocide?" An unlikely conversation later, Vera visited Reed in the cell. He sat calmly, playing with a small piece of broken metal, turning it in his fingers. "You came back," he said, without looking up. "I saw the file," she replied. He smiled. "Then you know." "I don't know anything anymore," she said. "Only that my war is full of shadows." Reed stood slowly. "Then it's time to bring some light." She stared at him. "You're still a prisoner." Reed took a step closer. "Not for long. You just haven't decided yet what side you're on." Cliffhanger twist as they spoke, deep beneath the surface of the Xenari base. A hidden terminal activated. A new voice crackled through the alien system. Deep, cold, robotic. "Subject Carter identified. Project origin compromised. Activate protocol burn. Far above the planet, a Xenari supership turned its weapons toward the base. Inside the prison cell, alarms began to flash. Vera looked up. "What is that?" Reed's eyes narrowed. "Your leaders, cleaning up their mess. And you?" He smirked. "I am the mess." Darkness, not the kind that fills empty rooms, but the kind that grows inside the mind. Commander Vera of Xenari Prime sat alone in her chamber, her silver fingers wrapped tightly around a glass of black liquid. It was meant to calm the nerves. It didn't work. Across the room, a small hologram replayed again and again. A human face, blood on his skin, a smirk on his lips. And then those words, "Yeah," he said, "safety's on." She had pulled the trigger. She remembered it clearly. The gun didn't fire, but something else did. A signal, a message, an idea that had begun eating its way into her brain like acid. The file. No one was allowed to see. Vera walked silently through the steel halls of her ship, past guards who saluted without question. Her mind, however, questioned everything. Room 17X. Locked, restricted. She entered. A black screen waited in the darkness. She placed her hand on the scanner. It hissed with heat. "Access granted. Omega file #OM13. The screen came alive with static. Then a video. Not a human one. A Xenari warship. Date: 8 years ago. Mission: Silent Storm. An order rang out through the speakers. Destroy the Earth vessel before it escapes. No survivors. The image shifted. A civilian Earthship, unarmed, fired. Upon and destroyed, Vera's body turned cold. Her breath stopped. It was true. Everything he said was true. Meanwhile, the human doesn't sleep in the lower cell block. Reed Carter lay on his back, staring at the ceiling. He wasn't afraid. He wasn't broken. He was counting. Every 5 minutes, a guard walked past. Every 10 minutes, a power fluctuation blinked the lights. Every 20 minutes, someone on the outside sent a pulse through his hidden implant. He smiled. "They're close," he whispered. Back to Vera. Thoughts like knives in her private study. Vera played the video one. Last time, she watched innocent lives erased with no reason, no warning. She clenched her fists. She remembered training, the oaths, the honor, but where was honor in killing the defenseless? The war was never about justice, Reed had said. It was about control. She hated how those words lived in her mind like a second voice. Flashback. Her first kill. She was young. Her first mission. A human outpost. She found a boy barely old enough to hold a weapon hiding in a corner. Her officer had said, "No witnesses." She obeyed. The boy didn't scream. He only asked, "Why?" She had no answer then. She had no answer now. A new order, one she can't follow. The command room buzzed with energy. Xenari fleets were preparing to strike. Target the approaching Earth vessels. An admiral ordered. Crush them before they enter orbit. Vera stood silent. Her heart beat loud in her chest. "Commander Vera, do you confirm fire protocol?" She looked at the red button glowing on her panel. She looked at the screen. Human ships in motion. Not firing, not hostile. She looked down at her hands, once made for power. Now frozen by doubt. She said nothing. Prisoner or prophet? Reed stood at the cell door as she entered. He didn't speak first. She did. "You were right," she said. He tilted his head. "Which part?" "All of it." She walked closer, almost whispering. "I saw the file." Reed smiled, not in pride, but with something else. "Pity, maybe. You're not the first one," he said. "But you might be the first that matters." She stared at him. "I've killed humans all my life." "And yet," he said, "here you are, talking to one." She sighed. "What do you want from me?" Reed leaned forward. "Not much," he said. "Just your ship, your rank, and a path to the truth." Cliffhanger ending suddenly. The room shook. Not from outside, but from within. A cold robotic voice echoed across the base. Protocol burn activated. Erase all compromised assets. Reed's eyes widened. Vira's hand flew to her ear. What did you do? She demanded. Reed looked up at the ceiling. Not me, he said. Them. They're coming. Outside, in the darkness of space, a massive ship moved silently into range. But it wasn't human. It was Xenari. And it was aiming at its own base. Now, 2:12 galactic time, lower cell bay red lights flashed across the hallway. Sirens screamed. Smoke began to fill the corners of the alien prison. Reed Carter stood alone in his cell. Still locked. Still. Smiling. Above him, the loudspeaker crackled. Protocol burn. Active. All data, assets, and prisoners to be eliminated. Reed tilted his head. Right on time. From his boot, he pulled out a small silver pin. It clicked softly. Then the door. Unlocked. Then 3 days ago, human battlecruiser ARGON-7, a table lit with holographic plans. Reed stood with a small team of engineers. We can't storm the Xenari base, one said. Too many guards. We won't, Reed replied. We'll let them take me. They looked at him like he was insane. Reed pointed to a blinking device. This isn't a weapon. It's a virus. It waits. Learns their system. Then when it hears one command, just one, it starts talking to the base. Talking? Someone asked. Yeah, Reed smirked. Tells the base it's sick. And what does a paranoid alien base do with a virus? It deletes itself. Now, 2:14 GT. Inside the Xenari base, Vera ran down the corridor. Smoke and lights blinded her. Soldiers shouted around her. We're under internal attack. No, Vera said under her breath. This isn't an attack. This is sabotage. She reached the control room. The main screen glitche. Every door in the prison block was open. And in the center feed, Reed Carter walking down the hall, calm as a ghost. Her second-in-command, Kelron, shouted, Should I stop him? She watched the screen a second longer. No, she said. Follow him. Then, one day before capture, Xenari border space. Reed floated in a small decoy pod. Pretending to drift, Xenari scouts caught him within minutes. As they pulled him in, he whispered, Let the game begin. Inside his suit, the implant blinked. Once the clock started ticking. Now, 2:16 GT. Hallways below. Reed walked past empty cells. Some aliens, prisoners from other wars, stared at him in confusion. One asked, What are you doing? He smiled, breaking the system. He entered a control room. Sat at the console. Hello again, he said to the terminal. The virus answered by flashing the screen. Welcome back. Reed, final phase ready. He pressed execute. Meanwhile, command deck above. Kelron screamed. Commander, the virus is rewriting our firewalls. Vera said nothing. She stared at the blinking screen. Truth detected. Order canceled. Her hand hovered over the emergency kill switch. She didn't press it. She turned and walked out. Back to Reed. 2:18 GT. Doors unlocked. Elevators opened. Base's own systems cleared a path. Reed walked like he owned the place. He reached a vault door. Behind it, the Xenari stolen tech, weapons, files, hidden history. He tapped a pin. Package in sight. From above, a voice crackled in his ear. Extraction team landing in 3 minutes. He looked up. And smiled. Twist. Not everyone wants the truth. Suddenly, footsteps. Ke Luran stood at the hallway's end. Weapon raised. You think you're clever? He shouted. No, Reed replied. I know I am. Kelron fired. Reed ducked. But another shot came from behind Kelron. He fell. Vera stepped into view. She held the smoking weapon. Truth hurts, she said softly. Cliffhanger ending. As explosions rocked the far end of the base, Vera turned to Reed. This doesn't make US allies. Reed nodded. No, it makes us useful. For now. Outside, dropships roared in. Inside, files were uploading. The virus finished its job. Final message sent to Earth. The war began with a lie. The screen went black. Location, Earth orbit, human. Battlecruiser ARGON, 7-time. 4:29 Earth Standard Time, Lieutenant Mara. Thorne stared out at the stars. She had served beside Reed Carter for 6 years. Fought beside him. Bled beside him. She also just sent a message to the Xenari High Command. It read. He found it. Shut it down. You know the price. She deleted the message. No one would ever see it. Not unless they looked very, very closely. 2 hours earlier. Aboard the ship, the bridge was chaos. Reed's extraction complete, someone shouted. Mara nodded. Prep for debrief. But her fingers tapped the console differently. She wasn't nervous. She was careful. Flashback, 9 months ago. A hidden room. A secret meeting. A Xenari officer across the table. You help us end the war, he said, and your brother lives. Mara didn't speak. The officer dropped a HOLO- image. It showed her brother. Captured, hooked to alien tech. Still breathing, she closed her eyes. I want proof of life every week. The alien nodded, and in return, silence, delay, small things. Nothing too loud. Back in the present, Reed entered the command room. Dust still clung to his boots. His eyes were tired, but sharp. Got something, he said. He handed Mara a crystal drive. Everything. The truth. How they started it. All of it. She smiled, forced, but perfect. I'll send it to HQ, she said. But when Reed left, she didn't. An unexpected visitor that night. Mara sat alone in her quarters. A knock on the door. She opened it. Captain Elric, older, quiet, always watching. You okay? He asked. Why wouldn't I be? Elric studied her. You've known Reed a long time. Yeah. You trust him? Mara paused. I trust his intentions. Elric said. Sometimes, that's the most dangerous kind. Then, he left, split loyalty or slow poisoned inside her. A war was burning. She believed in Earth. She loved her brother. But now she had something else. The drive. The truth. She plugged it into her private console. Video played. Xenari ships destroying unarmed Earth vessels. Official reports said. Earth started it. But the file said otherwise. Reed was right. She sat frozen. Then, a second file buried deep in the data. A hidden folder. Not alien. Human. She opened it. Project Phoenix status. ACTV scrolled. Reed Carter. Subject Alpha. Objective. Expose the war's origin. Risk level. High. Backup plan. Eliminate subject if truth threatens. Earth's current power structure. Her breath caught. Reed doesn't. No. She whispered. Message to the enemy. Mara stood. She didn't send the full drive to HQ. She split it. Half to Earth. Half to the Xenari. Balance. She whispered. She didn't want sides anymore. She wanted survival. Cliffhanger ending in the command center. Reed walked in just as the drive finished uploading. You send it? He asked. Mara nodded. Yeah. He stared at her. Something in her voice. Off. He stepped closer. You okay? She looked up. Of course. But her hand was behind her back. Hiding something small, blinking red. A second transmitter. Reed narrowed his eyes, and for the first time in years he wondered, what if the real enemy? Where's my uniform? Location, deep space, ship, Xenari cruiser Valari. Time, 23:47 Standard Galactic Commander. Vera stood in front of the Xenari High Council transmission screen. Behind her, the bridge crew watched in silence. On screen, a Xenari elder hissed. You opened the Forbidden's files. You let the human live. You are broken. Vera didn't blink. You started this war, she said. You killed their civilians, lied to your own people, used us all. The elder's voice was cold. You were never meant to think. You were meant to obey. Vera raised her arm. Her. Cruti encd. She spoke 2 words. I resign. Then, she fired a pulse cannon directly at the council relay tower. The screen shattered. Vera turned. Change course, she ordered. We're not fighting for them anymore. Location, human ship ARGON 7 time. Same moment, Reed Carter sat alone in the tech bay. He watched the decrypted files again. The lies, the betrayals. Earth's Black Ops orders. One file still bothered him. File he hadn't opened. Project Phoenix. Phase 2, he clicked, and what he saw froze his blood. A secret line. If Subject Carter completes his mission, activate protocol cleanse, no survivors. He leaned back slowly. They were going to kill him the moment he succeeded. Elsewhere on the ship, Mara watches. Mara Thorne stood near the reactor core, staring at her reflection in the glass. Behind her, Captain Elric approached. You split. The files, he said softly. Mara didn't deny it. Reed's not ready to know, she replied. Elric folded his arms. Maybe we're the ones who aren't ready. A pause, then Elric said, You feel it, don't you? This war, it's dying. Mara turned. Then who wins? New voice on the line suddenly. Across both ships, Zanari and human, a signal interrupted everything. Not from Earth. Not from Zanari. Somewhere else, a new voice, calm, cold, not human, not Zanari. You fight like insects over a dying fire. Neither of you deserves what's left. Screens on both ships turned black. Symbols appeared. Unknown language, unknown tech. This galaxy has watched long enough. Prepare yourselves. The next war will not wait. Chaos begins on a RGON 7. Alarms. On Valari. System lockouts. Reed grabbed a radio. Vira, did you see that? She answered, voice shaken. Yes, and I think we're not alone anymore. Reed looked around. Half his crew still trusted Earth. The other half didn't know what to believe. He had to act fast. Reed's rebellion. He stood on the bridge. Mara was there. Elil ric. He held up the data crystal. This is the truth, he said. But truth doesn't save us. It only shows us how lost we are. The room went silent. He stared at Mara. Did you know? He asked. She didn't lie. She only whispered, I made a choice. Reed nodded. I'm making mine. He dropped the Earth insignia from his uniform. Then he said, I don't fight for Earth. I fight for the ones who were lied to. Vera's stand on the Valari. Vera opened the ship-wide channel. You've been told we fight for honor, she said. But they only gave us orders. She showed the video. Children. Civilians. Burned by Zanari hands. No more, she said. Half her crew walked out. But the other half stood taller. We follow you, they said. The end of loyalty. Reed and Vera, light years apart, both stared into their new future. Not soldiers. Not commanders. Rebels. A new enemy was coming, and neither Earth nor Zanari was ready. But maybe they were, together, now. Enemy shipwreck, orbit of dead moons. 1-4 smoke curled through the broken hull. A standoff. Reed Carter, blood on his face, held a pulse pistol. Across from him, a cloaked figure. Not Zanari, not human, aimed a weapon back. Between them, a control panel. It held the keys to a system that could wipe both Earth and Zanari fleets in seconds. Vera stood to the side. Arm burned, armor cracked, but eyes sharp. The enemy spoke. Its voice was smooth, machine-like. You are not the heroes. You are the damage. Your war gave us cover. Now you end. Vera raised her gun. Reed smirked. Any last words, human? The creature mocked. Reed clicked the pistol. Yeah, he said. Safety's off. He fired. 48 hours earlier. Preparing the endgame. Reed stared at a flickering star map. 3 armies. 1 battlefield. No trust. Vera entered the room. He didn't look up. Still think this alliance makes sense? He asked. No, she replied. But dying separately makes even less. They'd both been betrayed. Both hunted by their own. Both wanted the truth to live, even if they didn't single quotes together. They planned one last mission, expose the third faction, the ones behind the war. Steal their weapon, a system that could destroy entire fleets with a single signal. Survive long enough to send the truth galaxy-wide. Reed looked at Vira. You ever think we were the villains? Vera gave a small smile. I still am. The final infiltration, the Shadow Fleet, their ship a hybrid of human and Xenari tech, landed. Silently on a dead moon, the enemy base was buried inside. Cold, empty, almost. Too quiet. As they entered, they saw the walls, covered in faces. Human, Xenari, all victims. All labeled as useful. Reed whispered, they've been watching us like lab rats. Not watching, Vera said, breeding war. The central chamber held a massive core glowing, pulsing. A voice greeted them. Welcome, subjects Alpha and Breakpoint. They froze. The enemy had names for them. This wasn't war. It was a test. The truth bomb. No more lies. They found the main console, inside. Recordings, logs, transmissions. Every manipulated event. The Earth attacks, the Xenari strikes. Engineered. Paid for. By a shadow network that profited from chaos. Reed uploaded it all to a beacon. Once activated, it would broadcast truth to every fleet, every world. Once we hit. Send, Vera said. Everyone will know. Reed looked at the upload bar. 92%. Then the alarm, intruders detected. Back to the fight, the choice. Reed and Vira were surrounded. The enemy stepped out cloaked, cold, unfeeling. You found the truth, it said. But the galaxy prefers the lie. Reed raised his gun. You might be right, he said. But I'm not asking for permission. The upload reached 100%. Vera smashed the beacon safety cover. A loud hum. Every ship in the galaxy Earth. Xenari, pirate, neutral suddenly received the truth. 1,000 years of lies shattered in seconds. The enemy charged. Final standoff. Echo of Part 1. The creature aimed its weapon at Reed. Any last words, human? Reed looked at Vera. She nodded. He smiled. Yeah, safety's off. He fired. Vira fired. The core exploded behind them. Epilogue: the broadcast that changed everything. Across space. Warships stopped mid-battle. Soldiers watched the feed. Commanders screamed. But the people, the ones who always died first, believed it. The truth was out. Reed and Vera's ship limped into open space. They didn't win the war. They ended it. Not with bullets. With truth.